And speaking of expanding elsewhere, and I suppose a couple of the numbers here demonstrate what you just said. Indonesia, you now have 40% of a bank that rebranded this year to put Dubai into the name. So what do you actually expect out of the Indonesian investment?
It actually tells you, right, that our strategy, which I am alluding to, is what we are holding to the T. Indonesia is a very exciting market. In addition to being the largest densely populated Muslim market with around 250 million Muslims. When we were entering into Indonesia, I recall this very clearly, that I was told that it's a market where Islamic banks are quite small, it's a market where Islamic banking is underpenetrated, so why go into Indonesia? And that's the exact reason why we went into Indonesia, because the Islamic banks were small and the market was underpenetrated. If you look at Indonesian market, tremendous potential. I always say this, and you've probably heard this before, it's a market which has something in it for everyone. Given that you have the right positioning, you cannot in Indonesia go into Indonesia and be just another player. You've got to bank on all the experience that you've gathered over 4 decades that we've been in existence. Technology plays a very large part. And last but not least, the regulator in Indonesia is quite supportive of Islamic finance. Yes. There's a national agenda. And if you look at the current 5% penetration of Islamic finance, which is just the tip of the iceberg. I think
it's crazy in a country, and you mentioned this yourself, which has the largest Muslim population of any country in the world, and to have Islamic finance only be at 5%. There's a huge opportunity. There must be a huge opportunity.
No, absolutely, Robin, and I think that's why we've gone there. And like I said, I think why organizations probably in the past who tried to venture out into Sharia compliant banking in Indonesia did not maybe be as successful as they wanted to, it was because of the positioning. I think Indonesia is a market, given the size of the market and given the potential, you just cannot do faith-based banking in Indonesia. There has to be a value proposition that makes sense to everybody. I'm not saying that we will ever compromise on Sharia compliance. That's within our DNA. But you do not need to keep, nailing the point back home that, we are an Islamic bank, so you are a Muslim and you should bank with us. I think the success of Dubai Islamic Bank within the UAE has been for that right reason. It's because we've changed our positioning, and I think that's the reason why, being in existence for 4 decades, you've actually taken notice of the bank in the last 3 or 4 years. And that's because we've changed our positioning. We've not compromised Sharia. We've not compromised Islamic banking jurisprudence. But what we've done is we've understood what the customer wants. And we are now fighting tooth and nail in making sure that we compete with the largest players within every region that we are operating in and try to bank everyone for that matter. And if that's the positioning that we follow in every geography that we are entering into, including Indonesia, I think sky is going to be the limit.